be joining in the next couple minutes, but thank you for joining us. My name is Jacob. I'm with BMC. I'm the Communications Associate. So happy to see you all and take your comments and questions on our public participation processes today. Just a couple notes before we get started. In the interest of accessibility, live transcription has been enabled for this meeting. If anyone has any additional accessibility concerns that we can address either at the moment or going forward, please email us 2022ppp@publicinput.com. Probably is the best email. There are others. You can also drop a comment in the chat or get in touch with us. We're going to talk about some ways to get in touch with us today, so stay tuned. If you have any comments or questions, please share them with us in the chat box or send them by email. We will be watching this email, 2022ppp@publicinput.com. You can also send us comments via voicemail at 1-855-925-2801, extension 3612. You can also text us with the keyword of 2022ppp altogether. Text 2022ppp to 73224. You can also get at us on social media at Balto Metro Co. It's probably the best bet on Twitter. I'll be bringing that up to be watching. Just as a general note, if you're chatting with us today or anytime in the future, if you use hashtag BRTB listens, we will use that hashtag to identify comments that folks want to consider formal public comments, meaning they may end up in reports to our board members or as part of our own internal kind of record keeping. Comments on social media without that hashtag, we're happy to get them and we do read them, but they just may not end up, like I said, in some sort of official publications. A couple last things. If you'd like to speak today, you may do so by calling, again, the number, I think it's in the chat box, but it's 1-855-925-2801, extension 3612, and then press *3. It will prompt you, so you don't have to remember every step, but press *3, and that will add you to the queue. We should have some time at the end of this meeting to take some questions and comments live from folks who are joining us. So again, everything I just ran through should be in a message in the chat. I know I was throwing out some phone numbers and stuff, so feel free to check there. While we're waiting, or I think we might be about ready to go ahead and get started, but if you don't mind, if you want to engage with us just up front, I'm going to drop a little prompt. We just love to hear if you're joining us kind of for the first time, or if you have previously joined us for another public meeting on any of our plans, or we do this type of thing. We're going to be talking about it today, but we have lots of different processes for trying to chat with folks about what we're up to. So if you have engaged with us before, we'd love for you to tell us about it. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Thank you for taking the time. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Monica, but I think it might be about time for me to turn things over to our board chair, Mr. Sam Sneed.
Yes, that sounds great. Thanks so much,
Awesome.
Jacob.
All righty. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Sneed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it. As Jacob mentioned, I'm Sam Sneed. I'm the director of Anne Arundel County's Office of Transportation, and I'm also the board chair of BRTB. On behalf of the entire BRTB, I want to thank you for your participation in today's meeting. Public engagement is vital to the regional planning process, and your feedback on our public participation plan will really help us shape our policies for working with the public for the next 4 years. So I thank you for taking the time today to join us for this meeting, learn more about this plan and how to share your comments. Some background for those who may not be familiar. The BRTB is a federally established organization set up to fulfill the federal planning requirements in place for large metropolitan areas. The slide currently shows members of the BRTB. The generic term for these federal established organizations is MPOs, Metropolitan Planning Organizations. MPOs ensure that expenditures of federal transportation dollars for transportation projects and programs are based on continuing cooperative and comprehensive process known as the 3C planning process. Public participation is an essential element. As you'll see, all of our meetings are public meetings that we have, and we have those on a regular basis as well. This is much more involved. Since you're part of this group, you're able to give some insight and commentary and allow us to improve upon what we have here. And I really appreciate the time you're putting into this. Now I'm going to turn it over to Monica Haynes-Benchetta, Public Involvement Coordinator, and she will give an overview of the public participation plan.
Thanks so much, Sam. So what is the public participation plan? Well, first, it serves as a guide for residents in the Baltimore region to navigate the regional transportation planning process. And second, it contains the policies and procedures that the BRTB and staff follow while informing and engaging the public. The public participation plan also includes a toolkit of public engagement practices, as well as an evaluation process for evaluating the BRTB's engagement efforts. So today I'm going to highlight what's new in the 2022 public participation plan, and then briefly walk you through how the document's organized. And then after that, we'll have time for questions and comments. If you're joining online, please share in the chat box and we will answer at the end of the presentation. You can also send a text to keyword 2022 PPP to the number 73224. So the 2022 public participation plan updates the existing plan, which was adopted in 2018. And the proposed updates to this plan were made after review of other public participation plans, consultant recommendations, staff debriefs, and results of a recent public participation survey that we conducted. So what's new? Highlights include, we added virtual or hybrid meeting options for BRTB committee meetings and public meetings or events. And the 2022 public participation survey showed strong support for virtual options, and the ongoing pandemic has shown the need for virtual options. So we also added this graphic that shows the organization and committee structure for the BMC and BRTB. And we hope this visualization helps people to better understand our organizations and the work that we do. On page 16, you'll see we've updated our accessibility policy to use plain and inclusive language. We've also added information about the Presidential Executive Order 13985, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. And this is the start. As a note on this is just a start as we're learning about the new executive order, and the USDOT has put together an equity action plan, and they're releasing a lot of information in the coming months. And so we're monitoring the federal agencies and incorporating that federal guidance into our process on an ongoing basis. And lastly, we reorganized several sections of the participation plan to streamline information and make it easier to understand the policies. Now I'm going to switch it back over to Jacob. Jacob, you're muted.
This catches me on. Thanks so much for that. And just very quickly, we already had a comment about our captions. I'm not able to adjust the color through Zoom, but I did try to make them bigger. So I'm hoping that that will help make them easier to see and read. I'm going to dive in. I just have a few updates in terms of kind of from the communications side, how we are sharpening some of our policies and guidelines for public participation. So first off, I'm going to talk through just a few new ways to get in touch with us. We have kind of the old standards. Feel free to keep doing what works. But we have lots of we take things by mail. I know that's really old standard, but we'd love it if you mail us. We have a exciting tool, public input, which is a really powerful public engagement tool, but we absolutely encourage folks to kind of learn more about our different planning efforts and take comments and survey questions. So that's an exciting online tool. We also have, obviously, we can take comments by email, comments@baltimoremetro.org. Voicemail, I already read out the number, but I'll do it again, 855-925-2801. We do have project codes as well. We can share those out, or they usually are listed online with whatever particular project. We take texts as well. Again, I don't have the number in front of me, but we have the same text code set up. And we do have social media, of course, at Baltimore Metro Co. for our Twitter. I think it's just at Baltimore Metropolitan Council for our Facebook, and at Baltimore Metro Co. as well on Instagram, and LinkedIn is in there as well. I already mentioned earlier, but I'll say it again. We would love, we're using the hashtag BRTB listens, just to deal with confusion about what might or might not be considered a sort of formal or official public comment. So again, we're more than happy to see comments and discourse going on, in the comments on our posts, but using that hashtag BRTB listens will let us know that you intend for this to be a kind of official or formal public comment. I think we will kind of, again, that might mean that it ends up in a report back to our member or to our board, or I think we will respond to comments as best we can, but certainly we will be looking for those comments with the hashtag BRTB listens. Of course, we also have meetings. Many of our planning processes include public meetings, both virtual and online. I think there's a bit more to say about our meetings a little later, but obviously we're happy for you to join us and kind of speak to us live, so as we're doing here. I'm also going to just talk through a little bit about our social media guides and policies. So as part of the public participation plan update, we sharpened some of our kind of terms for use for social media. So obviously we understand the kind of importance of social media. That's kind of where the discourse is at, and that's great. And so, we maintain social media channels to share information, engage folks, and collect comments, as I was sort of mentioning earlier. We are happy to take direct messages as well. And I won't rehash the whole hashtag BRTB listens thing again, but as part of our updated guidelines, we may use other hashtags to, have specific hashtags for specific projects we're working on, or just to increase the reach of our posts and our messaging. If we see comment threads coming from an initial comment that does use the hashtag BRTB listens, we may or may not include kind of subsequent comments in that conversation as part of the same formal, engagement or commenting. We are also committed to maintaining an in-house social media policy, which outlines in more detail the best practices and procedures for integrating social media into our public involvement process. So, just for example, and we added this into the updated public participation plan, but we have some new guidelines around what we might consider to be inappropriate comments. So anything including profanity, hate speech, targeted harassment, misinformation, lewdness, incitement to violence, or any other content which violates our policies. We will not accept that, and at our discretion, we may delete those comments or even report them to the associated platform. This was something that was not as clarified in previous versions of the plan, and we felt that it was important to kind of spell that out in some more detail. So this is up to kind of change at our discretion as we go forward with this process, particularly at the moment, as this is still a draft plan and we're soliciting comments on it. So yeah. Let us know if you have any thoughts about our social media use. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it back to Monica. Monica, did I miss anything, or take it from here?
That's great. Thanks so much, Jacob. So now I'm going to give an overview of the public participation plan. And again, if you have questions, drop them in the chat or text us and we'll answer at the end. For those of us joining online, if you're joining at publicinput.com/2022 PPP, you should see a comments box or a chat box below the video screen. That's where we're asking you to enter your comments, and we're monitoring that in the background. So so back to the presentation, the public participation plan is organized into several sections, including an overview about the public participation plan and organization, followed by the policies and procedures that guide public engagement in the planning process. And lastly, we have a collection of outreach strategies, evaluation tools, and additional resources. And the BRTB's public involvement program is guided by 6 principles, including providing enough time for the public to review and comment, offering access to the decision-making process, demonstrating explicit consideration and response to comments, educating the public, involving those traditionally underserved or with special transportation needs, and to improve the process through periodic evaluation. And the public participation plan identifies a range of people who should be invited to participate in the regional planning process. And federal regulations identify over a dozen different interested parties that are to be consulted and engaged. And this list was updated to replace the group minority populations with the more specific populations identified in Executive Order 13985. And that executive order specifically lists Black, Latino, and Indigenous and Native American persons, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and other persons of color. And the BRTB, in response to public feedback, have identified over a dozen other additional stakeholder groups to include. And staff maintain this list of different interested parties. And additionally, members of the public can sign up for updates via baltimoremetro.org or at our public input engagement hub. The next section of the public participation plan outlines the various ways we notify the public of an opportunity to be involved or comment. And we list the various comment periods the BRTB regularly conducts and the policies for guiding how we notify the public and how we will review and respond to comments. This section also includes all the ways the public can submit comments, including the new ways we are accepting comments that Jacob mentioned. And here we also outline the guidelines for comments via social media that Jacob just highlighted. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Regina Aris. Thanks.
Good afternoon. So this section on getting involved outlines all of the policies related to how the board will conduct meetings and events. This includes being governed by the Maryland Open Meetings Act, including timely notice of meetings and events. And I'll say timely notice usually means a minimum of 2 weeks in advance. Being mindful of avoiding key cultural, religious, and social events, as well as being held in ADA or Americans with Disabilities Act requirements and transit accessible locations when in person. This section now includes the use of virtual or hybrid meetings, which Monica mentioned earlier in this section. The plan to add virtual and hybrid meeting options was added after we received public support for it, and the use of live transcription to make sure those with hearing impairments are able to participate. The next section of the participation plan includes an overview of public participation at BRTB meetings and how the public can provide testimony. For instance, did you know that you can make comments to the board at their monthly meetings? The second item on every board agenda is an opportunity for the public to comment. I will say in terms of how to make comments and some rules and procedure, we have some guidelines, but during that open opportunity, you can comment on any transportation activity you think is under the board's purview. Comments related to action items will be taken during the discussion of that action item. Next, we have a section on how the BRTB will use public comments. This includes giving a full record of comments to board members and appropriate committees and responding to public comments prior to the final vote. So now I'll turn it back over to Monica for the remaining sections.
Thanks so much, Regina. So the BRTB values diversity within the region, as well as the importance of full and fair participation in the transportation decision-making process by those individuals and groups who've been traditionally underserved. To be more inclusive, the board updated its accessibility statement, and that's included in the draft participation plan. And the BMC website is also designed to meet the standards set forth in Section 508 of the U.S. Rehabilitation Act to ensure accessibility and usability. The site also features an online translation tool where visitors can choose from over 100 languages to translate a page. Public input also features Google Translate, and here you can see I've translated the 2022 Public Participation Plan page into Spanish. The participation plan also includes a toolkit, and 20 strategies or tools for enhancing public involvement have been identified. This includes specific tools for conducting outreach to traditionally underserved populations, and staff are working internally with communication staff to develop our outreach efforts. Staff review and modify these strategies on an ongoing basis. And then the next section of the participation plan is the evaluation section. The BRTB with BMC staff support periodically review the effectiveness of our public participation program and techniques. The way that we do that is through four main ways. The first is through surveys, including, you'll see on our participation plan page, we have a survey that you can fill out to share your comments. We also evaluate key metrics such as traffic to our websites, traffic through our social media posts, the number of meeting attendees, the number of comments we received, our surveys completed, etc. Those are the kind of key metrics we look at. In terms of staff, we also get together at the end of a survey or a comment period, and we conduct an internal team meeting to discuss what worked and review the feedback we got and just determine what areas we can improve upon. And then fourth, the BRTB undergoes a federal certification review every 4 years, and this includes a public involvement process to accept comments on how the public thinks the BRTB is doing. And then the last section of the participation plan is the additional resources section. And as part of our education efforts, we put together a glossary of acronyms and commonly used planning terms. There's also a public guide to transportation decision-making, and links to both of these documents is in the draft public participation plan and available on the BMC website. The BRTB also complies with a number of federal laws, guiding regulations, and executive orders, including the new executive order to advance racial equity and support for underserved communities. And so links to all of these regulations or executive orders, et cetera, are included in the draft public participation plan. So that's our overview of the participation plan and how we've updated it in 2022. We really would like to know what you think, so please let us know today in the chat at publicinput.com/2022PPP. There's a comment box below the video where you can add your questions or comments. You can also take more time to review the participation plan and then email us. We've got a custom email for this, 2022PPP@publicinput.com. We are also accepting comments on Twitter using the hashtag BRTB listens, and we're online on Twitter at Baltimore Metroco or Be More Involved. We've got a voicemail set up, 855-925-2801, extension 3612. And we also are accepting comments by text. You can text the keyword 2022 PPP to the number 73224. As Regina mentioned, we have board meetings, and comments are welcome during the public comment opportunities at these board meetings. Make sure, though, that you submit your comments by October 7th to make sure your feedback is included. That's when the formal comment period ends. And then following the close of the comment period, we are going to review your comments and make changes to the document where we're able, and then issue a response letting you know how we modified the document or response to your comments. We'll give that response to the public comments before the BRTB votes on their final version. They're anticipating to do that at their November 22nd meeting. And that's all I have for you today. I'm wondering if folks have questions for me.
Okay, for this section, we will take questions and comments. However, comments, we won't respond to comments as staff. We will share them with our board and allow them to respond. But you're welcome to submit comments today. We do like to try to respond to specific questions that will help people understand the material that is out for public review. So at this time, we do have several comments that have come in, or questions. For Monica, someone is asking if the board live streams public meetings through its Facebook page, and do they archive videos of past meetings? And they have a recommendation. I'm going to consider that a question, but we're also going to consider it a comment. But Monica, can you explain what we do now?
Yeah, thanks so much. So currently, the BRTB committee meetings are not, some of those meetings are live stream. If you go to the baltimoremetro.org website, you'll see a link to those. The recordings of those live streams are not currently made available. What we do have available, though, at the end of the meeting is minutes which provide a really great summary of what was presented and shared with the BRTB and action steps that were taken. We also share copies of PowerPoint presentations in PDF format. So for all the committees, you can find agendas, minutes, and PowerPoints on our website at baltimoremetro.org. We definitely are interested in looking into how we can grow our live streaming efforts. We are live streaming virtual public meetings, such as meetings like this, and we do make those meeting recordings available through our public input pages. We are looking at the possibility of live streaming through Facebook. That's something that Jacob and I are looking into for the future, and we will definitely take your comments to the board for their consideration in terms of making our live streams more readily accessible.
Okay, I'm going to give Monica a break to swallow, catch your breath, and I'll take the next question. Someone commented that they love the plan to use plain speech to really make the content of what we have more accessible to a wide variety of people. So great. We're going to work on that. And then there was a question associated with that. They're curious if public comments are logged, tracked, and considered long-term. And I can say, for instance, every year we put out a unified public work program. Every year we put out a transportation improvement program, and we frequently go through several years of comments so that we can try to address things that were brought up to us ahead of time. So we do look at that. And I can say, related to the short range document, the TIP, and the long range document, the transportation plan, some of those really meaty comments about changing the mix of projects. It does take time, but your comments are really important, and they do help turn the ship. And the question said, do you look back 3 to 10 years? And I can tell you, over the last 10 years, I am seeing change. So we do look at that. Thank you. So I'm going to go to Monica for the next question. I believe it's from a member of a group that we have called the Transportation Corps, and they want to know if they will get invitations to the BRTB meetings to attend online. And if we could send them those invitations, they don't have to check. Monica can answer that, but I think the short answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, for the Transportation Corps, for those members who are participating today, we thank you for joining us. We definitely extended an independent invitation to the Corps to participate, and we would love to keep doing that to keep you all coming to the table. I will say also, one thing I see Michael's comment that, he wants to get some sort of reminder so he doesn't have to remember to check when the meetings are. And, that's a kind of comment that we can maybe take and look at, is there something we can add to our website, like maybe a button that allows people to add our meetings to like a Google Calendar or something like that in the future that might be helpful. The other thing that I would suggest is that you visit our website at baltimoremetro.org and sign up for Be More Involved, or you can email me at comments@baltimoremetro.org to add you to our mailing list for interested parties. We have a mailing list of probably 4,000 people or something that we send out monthly. It's usually 1 to 2 times a month where we say, hey, this is what's going on this month. This is what the Baltimore Metropolitan Council and the Baltimore Regional Transportation Board are doing and how they want to hear your voice and what kinds of opportunities do you have to be involved. And so it would be great if you would sign up for those emails and make sure you get our announcements to interested parties that would go out every month. I also publish a newsletter called Be More Involved, which promotes the work of the BMC and BRTB, and it also includes work and public engagement opportunities being done by our project partners. So all of the BRTB members and our state agencies that we work with, they have public comment opportunities that you can be involved with, and we want to make sure that you're involved with those opportunities as well, because a lot happens locally well before it comes to our table, regionally. So there's lots of ways for you to be involved, and so we do publish that Be More Involved, and we do have a Twitter and Facebook stream for Be More Involved as well. So I recommend that you follow that as well to keep up to date on all the meetings and work that we're doing.
Okay, and I'm going to give a short answer just because I think that's what some folks may want. For the Transportation Corps, Monica and I can work together to send a calendar invite for board meetings, and we'll ask the Corps members, do they want to receive that calendar invite every month? And then you can accept it. If you don't want that mail, we can terminate it, but we could make that easy for the Corps members. So those are the only questions I had. I know one of the members, when they registered, asked to speak. Jacob, do you know, is Paul Verchinsky is he online? Does he wish to submit a comment?
We do not have anyone joining by phone that wishes to submit a comment.
Okay, so we're going to hang out here for another minute or two in case anybody does want to send a question or a comment in the chat.
Regina,
And
can I
then-
just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think it might be just worth restating how to call us today. So I'm just thinking again, if anyone's watching and does want to join the phone queue, you can call 1-855-925-2801, extension 3612. Again, this is in a message right up at the top of the chat. So if you're watching on public input and you scroll right up to the top there, it should be there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, and I'll just kind of picking up where Regina was saying, I think we can hang out for another minute and just see if anyone does want to join us to leave a comment, but I thought it was worth restating.
Right, so we do, all of us participate your time today. The comment period is open through October 7, and then full comments will go to our technical committee and board. Staff will work with them on a response, and we will send a response to comments 2 weeks prior to the meeting in November. And that's how we would do this with any comment period. We would always provide a response prior to the vote in case you want to come to that meeting and say, thank you, I'm really glad you heard me, or thank you, I disagree with the response, but whatever. So I do not see anything yet. We will post this recording, and we will continue to promote on our social media channels this opportunity to comment on the participation plan. Is there anything from Monica or Jacob? If not, we might close this out today.
I'm not seeing any requests to speak in the phone, and not seeing any additional questions. I definitely want to thank everybody who's come out today to join us, and definitely encourage folks to add their comments to this website on using this website. publicinput.com/2022 PPP. There's a short survey that asks what comments you have. There's also a how to share your thoughts tab where you can get the email address that you can use if you have more extensive comments or want to submit an attachment. We welcome those as well. We have a couple of short survey questions to try to get your feedback on whether you think the proposed changes are improvements. If the new ways to comments increase your opportunity to have your voice heard, those sorts of things, and how you heard about this. We're definitely trying to figure out how folks are hearing about our opportunities to be engaged so we can keep getting the word out. So that's all I have today, and I really appreciate everyone joining us. I hope to hear from everyone soon. Thanks so much.